Hello, welcome to Comic Tropes. I'm your host, Chris. Marvel Zombies. Well, it just had its first TV version. Got some people talking online. Got me thinking about Marvel Zombies. Now, the term Marvel Zombie originally did not refer to an undead monster, but to big fans who would read anything Marvel Comics published. It's unknown who exactly coined the term, but you can see it as early as 1975 in the fanzine Omniverse, which was by future Marvel writer and editor Mark Gruenwald. Over the years, it was happily adopted by Marvel fans. Well, in 2005, it became a tongue-in-cheek title for a comic about the Marvel heroes becoming literal zombies. It was written by a writer super familiar with the ghouls, Robert Kirkman, then also writing his creator-owned zombie book, The Walking Dead. This episode, my supporters on Patreon asked me to rank the various Marvel Zombies miniseries and one-shots. So, here's my best attempt at giving you an idea of what each one was about and where they fall on my personal tier list. Let's do it. The titular zombies were first introduced, by the way, in a 3-episode arc on Ultimate Fantastic Four back in the summer of 2005. Now, that was by writer Mark Millar, artist Greg Land. I'm not ranking this one because it was a Fantastic Four story. I just want you to know that issues 21 through 23 kind of give you the origin, where a zombie version of Sentry enters from a parallel dimension. He quickly infects that world, and it involves the Fantastic Four of the zombie world tricking the Ultimate version of Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, into visiting them in the hopes that they could then cross over into a whole new world full of food. The good guys do get away, and that leads into the first miniseries. So, Marvel Zombies. That's a 5-issue series that started in 2005. It was by Kirkman and artist Sean Phillips. Great art. It's got an alien virus ravaging Earth, turning most of the Marvel Universe's heroes and villains into flesh-eating zombies, super-powered zombies, and they retain their intelligence as long as they're eating. So, with humanity nearly wiped out, the undead Marvel heroes are roaming the world, hunting for food. By the end of it, they've conquered most of the planet. Silver Surfer shows up, and the whole story just sort of raises existential questions about what is left of life. Like, you're continuing to exist, but to what end? It's also got some humor. It's got some good underdog heroes in Black Panther and Magneto. It's got great art. There's a reason this sold well, and it launched an entire franchise. So I'm giving this an S tier rating. Recommended. In fact, it was so popular that by the next year, 2007, we get Marvel Zombies 2. It's a sequel, same creative team, again, 5 issues, but it's set 40 years in the future. And now the zombies have conquered the galaxy, and they turn their attention to entering into other dimensions to continue feeding. The chaos and sci-fi ideas in this one are cool. Plus, I really like that there's a power struggle on Earth between an elderly Black Panther and Magneto's acolytes. So they're trying to argue on the best way to protect the few survivors there on Earth. I give this one an A, only because it can't quite be as fresh as the first one. So it's not quite as good. It's not quite as exciting as the first time we saw the characters, but it's basically part of the same story. It's really cool. Also, I should mention, in 2007, there was the first intercompany crossover for Marvel Zombies. That was Marvel Comics and Dynamite publishing Marvel Zombies vs. Army of Darkness. And that involves the protagonist of the Evil Dead movies, Ash. He's a total goofball. He falls into the Marvel Zombies universe just as it's being created, and it's really just about him trying to survive. It's actually pretty funny, and I think it's just new enough that I'm also going to give this an A. It teeters a little close to B, but I think it's worth reading. It's written by John Layman. It's got some pretty good art by Fabiano Neves. Worth reading. Next, there was a fantastic one-shot by Kirkman and Phillips in 2008, and that was called Marvel Zombies Dead Days. It's a prequel, basically, to the first miniseries, and it shows how the main heroes fell to the zombie plague. It's tragic. It makes the first two miniseries, along with this, basically form a type of a trilogy. I think it's really strong. It's a big one-shot. I give it an A. Basically, by 2008, Marvel was really cranking these things out. It was all selling well. They were doing all sorts of variant covers. Marvel Zombies 3 comes along. Now it's by a new team at this point. Writer Fred Van Lente and artist Kev Walker. Finally has the zombies threatening to invade the main Marvel continuity, the heroes that we read every month. But Morbius, the living vampire, and he defends it with other characters like Machine Man and Jocasta, sort of android characters. They go searching other realities for a cure to the zombie plague. So it has some good stakes in that the characters that we actually love and care about are the ones that are technically at risk. But at the same time, you kind of have some third stringers when you've got like Morbius front and center. It also isn't an event with any tie-ins or crossovers, so you kind of know that everybody is going to be safe by the end. So it's fun, it's light, I'll give it a C. In 2009, we got yet another 4-issue Marvel Zombies 4 series, and again, it's by Van Lente and Walker. This time, Morbius gathers supernatural heroes like Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing, and they defend the Earth against a small zombie incursion. And again, I'm going to give this one a C. It really just depends on how much you like characters like Man-Thing and Jennifer Kale. Marvel published yet another Marvel Zombies miniseries in 2009. This was 5 issues with writer Fred Van Lente, and this time a bunch of other writers and artists. This is called Marvel Zombies Return, but I will point out this one does something new. Each issue focuses on one of the zombified heroes and really investigates their personality and how becoming a monster changes them. I found this series really cool, and I give this one an A. I think it's the best thing that Van Lente did in his run. At the end of 2009, Marvel published a one-shot called Marvel Zombies Evil Evolution. It was written by Carl Kessel. It involves a dimension where all the Marvel heroes are apes. About a year and a half earlier, they'd had this big Marvel Apes event. So kind of late, actually, to the party. I don't know why this didn't happen in the midst of all that, but we've got Marvel heroes as apes battling the Marvel Zombies world. It actually has them going into the Marvel Zombies world proactively to defend their world. It could be fun, but it's really nerfed in terms of how violent things will get, in my opinion. I personally wasn't super excited about the art either. I feel like it had potential. Apes, zombies, yeah. But I'm going to rank it at a D. In 2010, Fred Van Lente wrote another 5-issue series. This one was Marvel Zombies 5. It's got Morbius. It's got heroes like Machine Man and Howard the Duck researching zombies in various parallel realities. So we get things like zombies in Marvel's Western stories, and we get space stories. We get riffs on different types of zombies. You know, there's the George Romero zombies from the movies. There's sort of a Sam Raimi take on zombies, and that's kind of cool. It's an interesting idea. But the protagonists, they kind of make it very campy, and I didn't feel like there was a consistent tone. I give this one a D. 2011, Marvel published a fairly good 5-issue series, Marvel Zombies Supreme. This was by a writer named Frank Marafino, an artist named Fernando Blanco. And this gets into a lot of parallel world ideas. You don't have to think about it too much, but you know, we're basically starting to redo the Marvel Zombies idea in all these sort of parallel realities with, you know, that haven't been infected yet. Anyway, we meet the main character, Jill Harper. She works for the science team Project Pegasus. That is a Marvel idea. They house the Squadron Supreme, and those are superheroes from yet another parallel world that were created as analogs for DC's Justice League. but let them play with Marvel Universe ideas. Anyway, in this, the Squadron Supreme gets infected with the zombie virus, and Jill works hard to keep them contained to the base. So it's sort of like a base under siege story, but in reverse, trying to keep people trapped in that base. It's got some good violence. It's got a self-contained story. It works reasonably well, but you do have to care about some fairly obscure Marvel characters. I'll give it a C, but I'm considering it a high C, just below B. Marvel Zombies got another 5-issue series in 2012, again by writer Frank Marafino, this time with art by a guy named, and I'm probably going to get the name wrong, but Mirko Pierfederici, guessing at that. And the idea is Howard the Duck and Dum Dum Dugan, sidekick to Nick Fury, protect the main Marvel universe from one where Nazis became zombies in World War II intentionally so that they could win the war, and now they're looking to invade other dimensions. It's a good threat. It's too silly. It just nerfs everything about zombies. I give it a D, and I think I'm being kind. Also in 2012, Fred Van Lente returned to Marvel Zombies for a Halloween one-shot. It has great art by Alessandro Vitti, fantastic cover by Francesco Francavilla. It's about a kid who sneaks out of the house that he and his mom have been successfully defending in the world of zombies. He wants to rescue his kitten that got out. And then he's attacked by all sorts of teen zombie superheroes, you know, Darkhawk, The Runaways, Power Pack. It's got a subtle twist at the end, like subtle but deep. It's got some gory violence, and it's got characters that finally you actually care about. And I'm going to give this one, kind of surprising myself, but honestly, this is S tier. This is one of the best. Marvel then gave their zombies about a 3-year break. In 2015, you may remember, Marvel had their event Secret Wars, and that eventually led into this sort of mashup world called Battle World that had different bits from all sorts of Marvel Comics history, all existing in one world. Different sort of fiefdoms and kingdoms all mashed up against each other. Anyway, in 2015, Marvel had 2 stories, 2 separate ones, that involved Marvel Zombies. There is a 4-issue series called Age of Ultron versus the Marvel Zombies. And that focuses on survivors in a really tough world ruled by Robot Ultron. It's also full of zombies. But it kind of focuses more on the androids of Marvel, you know, like Vision and the original Human Torch. For me, I would say it doesn't have enough zombie stuff in it. It's got zombies in the title, it's got zombies, but not enough. It does get better as it continues, I will say that. Like, it starts okay, it gets a lot more interesting, but it has a fairly abrupt ending. James Robinson is writing, Steve Pugh on art. I like both of them. It looks good. It has good dialogue. I give it a C, but it is enjoyable enough. I don't consider C a bad grade, okay? There was also a book just titled Marvel Zombies that year, and that's by Simon Spurrier and art by Kev Walker. This one I really dug. It has 4 issues, focuses on the supernatural hunter Elsa Bloodstone, and her job is to protect the walls of Battle World against, you know, the threats outside, including zombies. But a young girl gets out of the walls into the lands full of zombies, and Elsa journeys out to save her. It's got likable characters, it's got understandable stakes, it works really well, and I give this one a B. Then we get another 3-year break before there's any more zombie stuff. It can only help for such a simple idea. I think that breaks are important to keep Marvel Zombies kind of fresh. But in 2018, Marvel did another Halloween one-shot, and they just called it Marvel Zombie, singular. It was by writer W. Maxwell Prince. He's the writer on the Image Comics horror anthology Ice Cream Man. Really good book, by the way. It's got solid art by an artist I wasn't familiar with before, Stefano Raffaele. It's set in yet another version of the Marvel Zombies world. It's got heroes like Spider-Man, Daredevil, Misty Knight, Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, sort of street level heroes. And they're protecting humans. It's also told a lot of the time through the viewpoint, though, of Marvel's character, Zombie, who is also known as Simon Garth. He's basically a good zombie. He can't really communicate or anything, but he's got his humanity. He was created at the same time that they were doing books like, Man-Thing and Werewolf by Night and Moon Knight. It was like that 70s supernatural era. Anyway, it's a dark story, Marvel Zombie is, but it's got this measure of hope, and it's about what you're willing to sacrifice. It's not perfect, but I give it a B. I'm going to lump the next two Marvel Zombies series together. First, there was a one-shot in 2019 called Marvel Zombies Resurrection, and then it was followed by a 5-issue series with the same name in 2020. And they're both by writer Philip K. Johnson. It's all one story, but it was a one-shot and then a 5-issue story. It's a good reboot of the Marvel Zombies idea. In this one, the heroes of the Marvel Universe, they journey out into space together and they find Galactus's corpse at the edge of space. And this space god is housing zombies, essentially. Then the series picks up a few years later with just the survivors at this point. And that includes heroes like Spider-Man and the X-Men Forge. They're fighting to understand the nature of the plague. They're protecting survivors. The focus is on the heroes, and it actually has a new origin for the zombies that I actually kind of liked quite a bit. It works pretty darn well. The art by Leonard Kirk is good. It's not completely new, but it's executed well, and I give it a B. Then there was another 4-year break before, in 2023, Marvel printed 4 issues of the anthology Marvel Zombies Black, White, and Blood. Now, as with most anthologies, it's a mixed bag, but what it benefits from is that these are all short, punchy stories, and they allowed the writers and artists to explore more or less whatever they wanted. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I give it a B. Now, finally, there was a 4-issue series last year called Marvel Zombies Dawn of Decay. It's, yet again, a new idea, sort of a reboot of the Marvel Zombies idea. This time, it's got a zombie virus spawning from an infected Groot. The writer on this and the artist I wasn't familiar with before, Thomas Krajewski wrote. The art is by Jason Murr. It's not bad art, but the zombies are less like rotting corpses and more like they're infected with like a fungus. Like they're fungus-covered monsters. It's eerie. It's disturbing. It isn't very gory as a story. I felt that this one was too watered down. Your mileage may vary, but there was nothing in it that I could grasp onto, and I'm giving it a D. And basically, that is it for the various Marvel Zombie series. More of them than I thought, honestly. Having compared them all, I think that the stories that work best within Marvel Zombies have smaller casts, like main cast anyway, and shorter stories. I think that with the zombies, you have to really push the threat of death, because that's what they're a metaphor for, approaching death, and you have to have characters that are being very clever. I do think that the best stuff was by Kirkman, but you know what? Maybe I'm biased. He's a friend. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Are any of these series or one-shots out there ones that you read that you liked more than I did? Please let me know in the comments down below. It means a lot to me. I think that Marvel Zombies is a cool idea. I like when Marvel can mix in horror into their stories, and every once in a while they do that with, Blade or Hulk, something like that. Or back in the day when they had their black and white magazines, they'd have Zombie or Werewolf by Night or something in a really cool standalone horror story. And it works surprisingly well when it's executed well, when it doesn't have to necessarily be too epic, which is just kind of funny because honestly, the first sort of trilogy, I'll call it, by Kirkman is fairly epic, but the survivors, the heroes, it's a pretty small group, and I think that that works to its benefit. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling. Thank you to my Patreons. I'm doing this for you guys. I may share this with everybody, but I'm doing it for my Patreons. You guys asked for this one. I'm happy to do it. It means a lot to me. But I will have more horror-themed content. This is the middle of October. I'm going to try to get another episode out that's more of a deep dive into an artist who's done a lot of horror, a lot of body horror stuff. I'll leave it at that. It's a tease, but it's somebody I haven't talked about yet on the channel, and I'm really excited to get that done before Halloween. Thanks, everybody. Remember, keep reading comics. Hey everybody, Editor Chris here, and I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for watching this episode, and a super thanks to my Patreons. I couldn't make this show without you guys. I say it all the time, it's 100% true. Appreciate the support. I wanted to give some recommendations. If you are interested or you've enjoyed some of Marvel Zombies and you're looking for something similar, here's my most straightforward advice. It's a what-if story. Go and look into the best reviewed what-if stories by Marvel. And I'll just tell you, Volume 1 of that book and most of Volume 2, pretty fantastic in general. Also, if you like the first 2 or 3 Marvel Zombies stories, they were all by Robert Kirkman, right? So Robert Kirkman's books, especially Walking Dead, might be up your alley. Some of his superhero stuff like Invincible. And if you like the art by Sean Phillips, I strongly recommend his collaborations with Ed Brubaker. Go ahead and start with Sleeper if you haven't read anything by them today. I think that's everything I've got to recommend. What If, Robert Kirkman, Sean Phillips. You can't go wrong. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you real soon.